Mecha Break is the next big and up-and-coming online mech fighter from CSUN Games, coming out with a mech shooter that takes a completely different approach to the genre. We don't have a lot of games like this, but the ones that come to mind whenever I think of a mech shooter is Mech Warrior and Armored Core 6, which have garnered a reputable name in the gaming community for being one of the most customizable mech shooters of all time, containing intense boss fights, which plays a big role in these types of games because most mech shooters are just too easy, and without a challenge the game becomes stale and boring since you're just spraying and praying enemies with little to no intensity at the game. Excellent moving mechanics is also why these two big titles stand out. Movement needs to be good in a mech shooter, especially if it were to be ported to console, as janky controls would make the game unenjoyable for players, and that's what happens for a lot of console ported mech games. But not Mecha Break, that's where they stand out, because this game features all of these different standards for mech shooters, and it's only in beta. Customization, great movement mechanics for console and PC, and intense fighting. The game's playstyle is PvE online multiplayer, and like I said before, just like Armored Core, you've got two types of boots. One is for getting up in the air, and the other is meant for dodging and zooming around. Every other control option is tied to one of your mech's weapons, and its stunning visuals runs on Unity with NVIDIA's new AI-powered NPC engine, making the in-game world seem so lightful practically anyone can run this game too. Specs are Ryzen 3 or Intel i5, GTX 1650 or RX 570, 8GB of DDR4 RAM, and with only 15GB of space needed to download. Battle colossal war machines on treacherous terrain with up to 6 players on your team and 60 player PvEs. Perform strategically coordinated victories by facing ambushes and confronting hostile mechs from other players. If this description sounds like fun to you, open beta just started now for both PC, the Series X, and via Microsoft Store and Steam. Check it out and sign up with the first link in the description or by clicking the annotation on the screen right now. Guys, I know this video is sponsored, but trust me, I like to try out the games that people ask me to promote, and this one's actually fun. And I'm not even a big fan of the mech games as much, unless we're talking about Titanfall, but is Titanfall really considered a mech game? I don't know, but what I do know is Mecha Break is the next best thing when it comes to mech shooters in 2025. All the other games out there are just too outdated, and this beta is open, it's not closed. It's up everywhere but PlayStation. Sorry, PlayStation players. You'll get access in the future, but the game launches with a tutorial and introduction, character and mech open customization, and if you've played other mech shooters, you're gonna notice that this game's customization is gonna blow your mind. With over 13 different mechs, or strikers as they call it, available to choose from, you have an explorable space station, all 3 standard game modes available, there's a training room. Later on in the beta, they plan to add map revamps while they take in feedback, a player reputation system, balance adjustments to various strikers, combat finishing moves, and more new customization options for pilots and mechs. So if you're sick of the limited mech shooters available, then Mecha Break is for you, because what this game is what every mech shooter should be, and this just being a beta with all these features is embarrassing to other games out there. They even plan on adding more as the beta goes on. Here's the roadmap we got. On March 13th, Mecha Break is launching its pre-launch invitational, which is essentially the top 16 teams from all around the world compete in a competitive event, showing off what the competitive scene in Mecha Break has to offer. Advanced combat skills, thrilling moments, providing pilots with an even more exhibited viewing experience, the event description reads. There will be an entire esports studio dedicated to this invitational, a high-end broadcast, and more scheduled to be released soon between March 13th and 16th. This pre-launch global invitational will mark the start to the competitive scene on Mecha Break, and during an open beta it's just crazy. Imagine the full release of the game. Again, if you're planning on hopping onto the game, allow me to explain the different mech classes. Each striker has its own class that shines in its very own field, such as damage, output, survivability, mobility, utility, the learning curve, and more. Inferno is one of my favorite. Packs some good firepower compared to the rest, put him in a good position, and it's going to inflict a devastating amount of damage. Think of this one as the bastion of the team. It gets fixed easily, making it vulnerable, but it does help inflict a lot of damage for the team. Panther, more agile, focuses on melee compared to the others, has a shield to protect itself against encounters, mainly meant for close quarters. Lumine's primary focus is assisting teammates, more of a support mech, just used to heal others. Alinus is more popular, one of the standard offensive strikers in the game. This mech can adapt to almost any situation, has some good resistance, and provides great damage towards enemies. Think of this one as the foot soldier to the team. Falcon, as the name insists, is meant for hunting down weakened enemies like prey. This striker is meant for keeping your distance, getting rid of specific enemy strikers. So knowing the map well will definitely help identify enemy positions and take them out one by one with this. Aquila, another range striker, has the ability to track down enemy movements. With their radar tool, it helps you snipe and surge out, stop the flanking attempts thanks to the armor too. Vulcan is another melee striker meant for making the other team spread out if they're stacking too much. Narukami is another striker which Mech provides excellent ranged attacks. Everyone says this Mech has a huge learning curve. I don't see it, because once you get around it, you can quickly understand how this striker works and why it's very important to have on your team. The light sniper and burst attacks help provide great damage. You just really gotta hit your shots with this one. Sky Raiders is like I mentioned before, one of the aerial Mech strikers meant for air attacks. Get the high ground attack from up above, definitely needed to get that advantage against the other team. A lot of these mechs are gonna notice there's two types of options. One's boots on ground, one's aerial assault. Pretty standard with mech games like this if you're new to it. But Stego is a heavy attacker meant to be sort of the tank of the team, taking all the hits. If you love this one, you're probably gonna like the next one, Hurricane, another tank meant to shield the team, really prevent the rest of your teammates from taking any more damage. Naka is another support who everyone loves for their utility purposes. You gotta be a real strategist to use this one. And finally, Triceras' focus is to focus on the objectives. Everyone uses this mech to make sure the area is under control, getting rid of enemies who are contesting the point, and with that solid damage resistant shields, it really helps with that defensive nature, although people do complain about the speed for this one. But I mean, it makes sense, they have to nerf him just a little bit to make balancing good for the roster. But that's pretty much the entire roster. For our PlayStation players, the game will eventually come to PlayStation at a later date, most likely after release. The CEO of CSUN Games has even stated he considers Xbox to be far more aggressive than Sony. They had a mutual agreement since other Mech games are already saturated in the Japanese market on PlayStation. Bringing a new Mech game to Xbox for a Western audience was considered less risky for the company, and judging by the number of concurrent players for this open beta, it shows it was a great idea. The game's a success. K-Walk confirmed the game would be coming to Game Pass too, so people are enjoying the beta right now. You're still going to be able to play for free if you have a Game Pass subscription when the full release comes out. But like every other game that ends up coming out on Game Pass, once it falls off Game Pass after a few months, that's when it's going to cross over to PlayStation to keep people talking about and playing the game. It's going to take a while, but hey, at least you guys aren't out of the picture at all. Overall, the beta in my eyes is just a success. The game's super fun, it runs smoothly. Me and the boys had a blast playing this, and yeah, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, stay blue.